The world of Hollywood stood still on a gray morning in Los Angeles as family, friends, and generations of fans gathered for Diane Keaton's funeral, a farewell so moving it felt more like a scene from one of her timeless films than real life. But nothing could have prepared anyone for the moment Goldie Hawn stepped forward to deliver the tribute that left the entire world in tears. The ceremony was held at Diane's favorite old church in Pasadena, its courtyard lined with sunflowers, her favorite flower, and the soft sound of a jazz trio playing "You Made Me Love You." Inside, the pews were filled with some of the most familiar faces in cinema. Al Pacino, sitting silently in the front row, sunglasses hiding eyes already red, Woody Allen, frail but visibly emotional, and a sea of friends who had shared decades of laughter, heartbreak, and art with the woman who made the world fall in love with imperfection. As the pastor finished his opening prayer, Goldie rose from her seat, wearing one of Diane's signature wide-brimmed hats, trembling slightly as she walked to the podium. The crowd fell silent. Her voice cracked as she began, "I don't think Diane ever realized she was the bravest of us all. She turned awkwardness into magic, loneliness into art, and made every woman believe she was enough just the way she was." Her words carried the weight of decades of friendship, from their wild 1970s parties to quiet dinners filled with laughter and old Hollywood stories. Goldie spoke of Diane's refusal to conform, how she turned vulnerability into beauty, and how she made aging something to celebrate rather than fear. "She used to tell me," Goldie continued, "don't worry about wrinkles, worry about wonder. When that fades, you're truly old." The audience laughed softly through their tears. Behind her, a slideshow played images of Diane's life, her clumsy smile on the set of Annie Hall, her arms around her children, her endless collection of hats. Each image drew applause and sobs alike. Goldie paused for a moment, looking out over the crowd, and said softly, "The first time I met Diane, she was carrying a camera instead of a script. She said she didn't want to remember fame. She wanted to remember faces. That's who she was. She cared about people, not perfection." Her voice broke then, and for a long, painful moment, she couldn't continue. From the back of the church, someone whispered, "Take your time, Goldie." The room felt suspended between grief and gratitude. Finally, she looked upward and said, "Diane, if you can hear me, thank you for teaching us that being yourself is the greatest role you can ever play." As she stepped away from the microphone, she held out a single sunflower and placed it on Diane's casket. The entire room stood as one, an unplanned standing ovation, echoing like thunder through the high ceilings. Even the cameras outside, waiting for a glimpse of Hollywood's grief, couldn't capture the intimacy of that moment. Afterward, when mourners spilled out into the courtyard, the sunlight broke through the clouds as if on cue, and Goldie, still holding Diane's hat, whispered to a reporter, she'd have hated all this fuss, but she'd have loved that people were smiling through their tears. Within hours, clips of the tribute spread online, watched by millions around the world who felt as though they, too, had lost a friend. Fans left flowers outside her home, writing notes that read, "Thank you for making awkward beautiful." Critics called Goldie's speech the most powerful eulogy Hollywood has ever seen, but to those who were there, it wasn't performance, it was love. In the end, Diane Keaton's farewell wasn't defined by sadness, but by the same warmth and authenticity she brought to every frame of her life. As Goldie said later in an interview, "She didn't just live, she taught us how to do it fearlessly." And that, more than anything, is why the world cried, smiled, and applauded one last time for the woman who turned ordinary moments into unforgettable art.